We were oh so close to getting the Czechoslovakia gold medal game we were all hoping for, but unfortunately for that matchup, Team Sweden will look for redemption from last year's disappointment, losing 7-0 to Canada in that gold medal game. We'll see what they can do coming into tomorrow as well. Latvia, their chance to try and earn a bronze medal at this tournament. We'll be recapping all the semifinal action and more coming up next. Gold medal, let's go! Back down the fly, this here recapping, predicting the World Junior Championship, U18 Women's World, the Men's World Championship, Women's World Championship, U18 Men's World Championship. What is happening? It is by far one of the dumbest things I have ever seen. Prepare to die. Figured it was better safe than sorry. Scores! Nathan McKinnon scores for Canada. Your home for international hockey. This is On the Fly. Hello everyone, welcome back to On the Fly. Here recapping semifinal action for the men's under-18 World Championships happening in Bratislava and Trenčín, Slovakia. So hop into today starting with the scores from today's game, starting with a 1-0 win for Slovakia over Latvia. Now, in this game, yes, you can look at the final score and say it was a defensive masterclass, and yeah, it probably was. But you look at this game for both teams, and it was the kind of game that I think both teams really wanted to play coming in, and especially for Latvia, a team who you're looking to in this tournament, really, but especially in this game, coming off of a big win against the U.S. where they were able to find the back of the net, some with the empty net, some without, 5 goals in that game. But they came into today knowing that it was going to be another difficult battle for them, trying to put a good defensive performance forward to be able to keep themselves in the game long enough so that when the games got close, you could see this Latvian team really take that next step and find the back of the net when it mattered the most. And unfortunately, just didn't really get to that point today, as the Slovaks played an excellent game as well and took them a little bit to get going, especially you consider that first period where they looked wildly uncomfortable in that game. And part of that, too, is feeling out the Latvian system. But they did get better, and they got better as the game went onward. And that's what you wanted to see from them today. And so as much as, yes, the game ends, obviously, in a win for the Slovaks, as the game went on, the Slovaks got better and better. We talk a lot about momentum in these kinds of games. The Slovaks have been building up momentum throughout this entire tournament. They started with a big win against Canada. They followed it up with more wins throughout the tournament. Obviously, they lose to the Finns, a bit more of that disappointing loss. But then they continue into the playoff rounds. They smoked Denmark in a game that wasn't close from the start. They followed up with a game here that started a little bit slow, but have been building it up there as well. The Slovak team is in a prime position now to try and contend for a medal. Yes, they're going to have to go through one of the better teams at this tournament coming in on paper with the Swedes, who have seemed to have caught their stride at this point in the tournament. The Slovaks are on home ice. It's a win-or-go-home game. It's a gold medal game. We'll see whether or not they are going to be able to pull off one last big upset at this tournament, because as of this point, there's no reason why they can't. It's easier to win one game than it is to win 4. So as far as I'm concerned, the Slovaks should absolutely be considered a contender for the gold medal. We'll talk more about that game in just a little bit. But Slovaks, a big win today, a 1-0 win over the Latvians. A bit of a disappointing end for Latvia, but at the same time, Slovaks were just the better team, and they were able to put the puck in the back of the net. The only goal of today, a bit of a question mark goal, where the goalie's pad was basically shoved in the net, but no challenge on the play. We end up seeing, of course, the Slovaks being our first team in the gold medal game. Latvia will go to the bronze medal game. Second game of the day between Sweden and the Czechs, a 4-3 overtime win for Sweden. This was a crazy game as well, where you saw kind of a bit of a different game, where the first game of the day, very defensive, very oriented around making sure the puck doesn't really get to the danger areas. This game between Sweden and the Czechs, they said, you know what, let's just play a little bit of offense in this one. And let's just say the defense wasn't quite there in this game. And we talked a little bit about it yesterday, kind of what you wanted to see from both these teams. For the Swedes, if they were going to be successful, they could open up the ice, get into a scoring battle against the Czechs, because their offense, frankly, is just better than what the Czechs have. The Czechs, if they could play a better defensive game than the Swedes, would likely end up taking this game. And we saw a little bit of both throughout this one. We saw, of course, the Czechs really start to play that defensive structure early. They played well, I'd say, first period and a half-ish. And then we saw the Swedes kind of turn it up that extra notch. And yes, coming out of that first period, you have the lead. You also, more importantly, have the 5-on-3 power play in which they scored on. They scored once, then they got another power play, kind of another 5-on-3 after that, weren't able to capitalize, and then the momentum swung kind of back into the Swedes' hands. And from there, you were waiting for it because you knew it was coming. The tie game, you were waiting for the Swedes to really get that extra goal. But fortunately, they had some good goaltending. Solovets for this Czech team was really good in this game, and was one of the main reasons why as well. I will add this game stayed tied going into overtime. But as this game went onwards, you were waiting for that one goal because both teams had their chances, right? And both goaltenders were really good. But ultimately, it came down to a few key mistakes that ends up costing the Czechs the lead. Game gets tied. And then from there, you're waiting. It goes to overtime. You're waiting. And then in the final minute or so of overtime, we see a Meyer goal that, frankly, you're waiting for someone to break through. Czech forward breaks his stick. And it's 3-on-2 essentially, because if you don't have a stick in 3-on-3, you are basically useless. And so we eventually see the puck go in the back of the net. The captain of Team Sweden for the day, as Ludvig Andersson, who's originally the captain for Team Sweden, was out due to an illness. Meyer did end up taking his captaincy for this game because every IIHF team needs a captain dressed. And so from there, what we saw, of course, was a bit of a disappointing end for the Czech team, who led for really most of this game and unfortunately just fell up a little bit short in the end. They do lose this game 4-3. The Swedes take the other gold medal spot at this tournament after a 4-3 win over Czechia. We'll now shift over to our news section where we'll start here with the Slovaks with circa 2003. And for this, I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. The last time the Slovaks played at a U18 gold medal game was back in 2003. A big opportunity for them here. Of course, they finished at the silver medal at that year's tournament. We will see this year whether or not they are going to be able to rise to the top and take home a gold medal at this tournament on home ice as well. It's going to be a tough game against the Swedes, but time will obviously tell whether or not they are going to be able to pull their way through. Should be a really good game tomorrow as well for Latvia with a little bit of puck luck. And we saw pucks go in for them in 2 days ago's games against the U.S. in that quarterfinals. Today just didn't really have the puck luck, and unfortunately you play against a team like the Slovaks, who are a pretty good team as well. You aren't always going to get those bounces. Today they didn't. They end up losing a 1-0 score, a real tight game right to the very end, and a really good game too. We were live for it, of course, over on our YouTube channel, and so that was fun to kind of watch to the very end there. But at the same time for Latvia, unfortunately, a tough loss here in the semifinals. They will go to the bronze medal game where they will have a chance to try and earn the bronze medal at this year's tournament. Their first at this tournament in particular. So we'll see whether or not they can get the job done there. As for the Czechs, with slipping away, had the lead, let it slip away. Unfortunately, that is just how the game goes sometimes. And for the Swedes, I mean, this was the kind of game that they wanted to play, right? And they were okay with going down early. They knew that if they could get the game kind of cracked open, they would continue some success. And we saw that tumbling snowball down the hill continue. The Swedes do end up taking this one. And for the Czechs, they do let that lead slip away a little bit. Then to Sweden with they're back. And I mean, they are back. They are 100% back after two pretty big wins, one against, arguably one of the top teams at this tournament in Canada, and they follow that one up with a win over the Czechs, who beat them in the prelims. A huge win for the Swedish team as they look now ahead to the gold medal game where they'll play the Slovak team, where we'll see what kind of game they come out with. They've started both hot and cold at this tournament. They started extremely hot against Canada, really cold today against that Czech team. We'll see what they can bring against the Slovak team, who's going to be rejuvenated by their crowd, really propelled forward. It will be a tough game for them. I'm excited to see what kind of ends up happening here. But for the Swedes, this is their opportunity. They're back at this tournament. They're back into the gold medal game. They're back in a lot of different ways. And we're going to see whether we can see the team of old and really kind of complete their back part of it, because Swedish team coming in, probably the second best, if not the best ranked team at this tournament. We'll see whether or not they can get the job done. Should be definitely a fascinating game to keep an eye on there. But we will now shift over to our playoff picture, where we will, of course, see our quarterfinal matchups, where we saw the Czechs knock off Finland 2-1, Sweden knock off Canada 4-2, Latvia beating the USA 5-2, and then Slovakia beating Denmark 7-1. Your semifinal matchups, which we saw today, which we just talked about, Slovakia beating Latvia 1-0, and then Sweden beating the Czechs 4-3 in overtime, which then sets up the bronze and gold medal game. And it's going to be a really fun one to watch. You have the Czechs in Latvia. We'll start with that matchup, the bronze medal. You look at these games for both these teams and kind of coming into this tournament as well. For the Czechs, it's been a hot and cold. It's been an up and down. It's been whatever kind of terms you want to use, right? And they start the tournament red hot. They go out and they beat the USA. They go out and beat Sweden. They then followed up with losing to the Danes, which was a really tough loss for them there, or the Germans rather, a real tough loss from there. They followed up with a win over the Danes. Then you go into that quarterfinals. You play a really hard game against the Finns. You end up pulling through with a win, kind of a late goal in the second period, solidified that win. You followed up today with, of course, a loss to the Swedes, despite outplaying Sweden for probably about a period and a half. Going into this game against Latvia, you are considered a fairly heavy favorite. And I would say that as much as, yes, you are expecting them to win, you look at their other games, right? And especially for me, that game against the Germans is one of the most important ones that we'll talk about, because heavily favored in that game as well. You knew coming in that there might have been an issue with that game because of the fact they're coming off two really big wins. We're going to see what kind of response this Czech team can have tomorrow morning, because it is a really important game for them to take home a medal at this tournament in particular, where they have struggled so much in the past, especially at the U18 level. I'm looking forward to seeing what's to come here. Czechia and Latvia, for Latvia, kind of on the other side, this is going to be a tough game. They know that coming in. They're going to have to shut down the Czech offense. They're going to have to be comfortable playing really behind most of this game. They've shown themselves to be able to do it in the past. We've seen them do it against the US, where, of course, that was a bit of a tougher game as well, but they get up early, they keep the lead. That's the kind of effort you need to see, is a full 60 minutes. You need good goaltending. Plumanch will need to be really good tomorrow, assuming he starts. I would assume he would, but if he doesn't, Nikitins would be the next goaltender in line for the Latvians. But whichever goaltender gets that start is going to need to be really good tomorrow. So we'll see kind of what ends up happening in that game. Goaltending will definitely be a talking point of that game. Skleníčka likely, in my eyes, would start that game against Latvia, just because Solovets, he's coming off of, there'd be a back-to-back for him. Skleníčka is definitely up there as far as skill level goes, so we'll see what they end up going there. But as far as kind of what to look for, goaltending will be definitely a talking point. Defense, expect a lot of it in this game. We'll see which team can come out on top there. Latvia and Czechia in your bronze medal matchup. Then to gold, we'll see Sweden taking on the Slovaks. As far as what to expect in this one, it should be firepower. And we've seen the Slovaks kind of play on their more defensive side as of late. We've seen them come out with some pretty impressive wins in the past few games. Of course, that big one against Canada to kick off the tournament. A disappointing loss to the Finns kind of later on in that preliminary round. And then kind of playoff time, we saw them blow out Denmark. A tighter game today, more on the defensive side for the Slovaks against Latvia, which I'd say is fairly expected, especially with the way Latvia plays. It's hard to really generate much, but they really sat inside a defensive cone in that first period, something that I'm not sure they really want to do going into a game against the Swedes. They will absolutely need to play defense. Their goaltending will need to be huge. But at the same time, you have to be very careful to not try and get yourself into a position where you're only playing defense against a team like Sweden, because the Swedes will dominate you in that aspect. It's only a matter of time before they do find the back of the net. And so I think that first 20 minutes, you'll have the crowd behind you. It's going to be very important for Slovakia to get out on the board early. If they can do that, they'll set themselves up really well. If they can't do that, all of a sudden, don't be surprised to see the Swedes really run up the score in this game, because crowd is the crowd, being on a home ice, being on the home crowd, it can really help. It can really help you, right? Especially if it's a tough game, or if you're, it's a tight game, you have the crowd into it. It can really help you. It can also really hurt you. And that is what the Slovaks have to avoid tomorrow, is getting your crowd taken out of it, especially early on in the game. If the Slovaks can play well in the first 20 minutes, keep the game relatively close, it's only going to help them down the line. And it wouldn't surprise me to see an upset there. But if the Swedes can get in early, play the perfect road game, take out the crowd right off the bat, that is how they're going to be successful. Should be a really good gold medal game tomorrow. Slovakia and Slovakia and Sweden, rather. We'll see which team comes out on top there. We will now shift over to our schedule for tomorrow. A reminder that we will be live here on YouTube for both the bronze medal game and the gold medal game, so please do come back for that. We will had some great coverage, or great viewership over the last few days, and would love to have you out. We did our full 8-hour and 20-minute live stream on for the quarterfinal round as well. We've done, of course, the semifinals, which was today, and we're going to have the 2 last games coming out over the next 2 days, or the next day, tomorrow. So please do come back for that. We'll start here for May the 2nd at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. That is 3 p.m. Central European Time, 4 p.m. Eastern European Summer Time, between Czechia and Latvia. As far as, once again, what to expect, we've already given you our analysis. As far as the prediction goes, I am going to take the Czechs here. I think they'll likely win probably 4-2 your final. I think this will be a very tight game. I'm excited to see what the Czechs can do. I just think that the Czechs are a little bit more comfortable playing defense, and for that reason, I am going to end up taking this Czech team. They have the offense to kind of go with it. The Latvians will definitely play a really good and solid game in this one. But in the end, I just think it's going to be a little bit too little too late for the Latvians. Won't be able to try to generate the offense they need. In the end, I am going to take the Czechs to take this game by a score of 4-2. And then your other game, the gold medal game at 1:00 p.m. Eastern Time. That is 7 p.m. Central European Time, 8 p.m. Eastern European Summer Time, Sweden and the Slovaks. As far as my prediction for this game, I am going to take the Swedes. We've had the Swedes kind of being in the top part of our power rankings for most of the tournament. I will say still they should be considered favorites going into this game. My final score prediction for this one between Sweden and Slovakia, I am going to take the Swedes by a score of probably 3-1, maybe a little bit more than that. Could be a 5-3 game, but it will be a tight one right to the very end. I think the empty net for the Swedes solidifies their spot as gold medalists at this tournament, but I do think this game will be back and forth throughout. Don't be surprised to see this one turn into a bit of a score-a-thon. 2 teams that have shown the ability to score goals at this tournament. We'll see whether or not it is going to continue into this game against one another. Slovakia and Sweden, your gold medal game at 1:00 p.m. Eastern Time. Your bronze medal, 9 a.m. Eastern, between Czechia and Latvia. A reminder that we'll be live here on YouTube, and I do hope to see you all there. And as well, we'll be giving our final recap for during tomorrow's day recap video, so be sure to come back for that. We'll recap all of this tournament, take a look at each of the teams participating, talk about what they did well, what they didn't do so well, and we'll break down the entire tournament as a whole, so be sure to come back tomorrow where we'll break it all down and more. But with that, if you made it this far in the video, thank you for watching. If you'd like to drop a like, if you're really subscribing, tell all of your friends. Going down below your thoughts on semifinal action from the men's under 18 World Championships. Until next time, see you.